Well done, Alex. I haven't spoken to you for a couple of months. Things have changed in that time. It's coming to quite a point now in the season, isn't it? It's getting serious. Tell us what's going to happen as regarding the remainder of the season.
Yeah, we're just not sure yet. We had the meeting yesterday with all the chairmen. So there's 66 clubs in the National League over the 3 divisions. It was split into 3 meetings, so National League and then obviously the North and the South. So I was in the North meeting. There was a lot of WhatsApps and emails around different chairmen between different divisions, if you want to call it that. In my opinion, it was lots and lots and lots of words without really knowing a huge amount of fact. Probably the meeting probably scared more people than it did actually solve any problems. The issue is at the moment is we were under the understanding or under the promise that there was for Gloucester City £30,000 a month, giving in 2 tranches. The first tranche was obviously the previous 3 months. We became a little bit concerned at the club probably mid-December when we hadn't heard anything for January. So we'd started having a few conversations internally around what do we do, how do we get through it, what options have we got around the season. And then obviously Christmas came and went. Last week we heard more rumblings around there's still no finances agreed or issued out to clubs. There was an independent review which no one's seen the outcome of. The independent review for me I don't overly support at the moment, especially without seeing it, because for us, what are they independently reviewing? They're independently reviewing us as a football club based at Evesham with no fans. We've got 555, I think it is, season tickets sold here. Another couple of hundred 1883 members, which are part-time, for a better phrase, season tickets. So we've got over 750 season ticket holders in both categories. And last season we had an average gate of 444, and that was home and away supporters. So I don't see what they can independently review. For us, it's going to be a fair review of the fact and the reality. You've only got to look at the FA Trophy game where we had fans in to see how many. Yeah, we sold out within 24 hours, right? So we had 982 here. And we still had another 500 watching on the streaming. So when you look at the numbers, I don't quite get what it's been based upon historically. So I've always had a bit of a concern that the 30,000 we've been given was never correct for us, because so say the big clubs with the bigger attendances got 35,000 at our level. I think we should be in that category. We're a full-time football club, the ones and top of the league. So we're a full-time football club. The others that got the 35,000, not all of them are full-time models. We've obviously got full-time staff here. You can probably hear the pitch maintenance guy going around. You've got Dave in the kitchen, you've got the gaffer downstairs, you've got AD Mings downstairs, you've got Kirsten in the office, you've got Claire here. It's a full-time business, right? So we have a fixed overhead and a fixed cost. The players have literally gone half an hour ago, and the players come in this morning and they're given breakfast. Then they have their whatever protein shakes and whatever else the fitness team give them, and then they go out and train, and then they have their recovery shakes and their yoga classes and their Pilates classes, and then they have their afternoon meal, and then they shoot off after that. So we're a full-time operation. Other clubs can turn the lights off at this sort of time on a Wednesday, Thursday afternoon, where we're still very much business as usual. Potentially it's our busiest time actually, the afternoon shifts, because it's when Paul and I will sit down and speak. AD and Paul are in a meeting now, and then Kirsten's obviously here picking up any contractual bits and pieces that get picked up. So yeah, it's a fairly big thing. So the meeting for us, I feel, was probably a bit of a waste of time. The outcome of it will be, well, I haven't got a clue. If anyone tells you they know what the outcome's going to be, they're guessing. For us, I don't support anything other than the season continuing. And that isn't because we're top of the league, it's because I supported last season when we were 17th, I supported the season continuing to a conclusion. My opinion hasn't changed. I put in my statement yesterday, I'll start to change my opinion when the Olympics start giving out achievement badges and merits like you get at Sports Day. Here's Dave, look, just to prove we do have some full-time staff here. So what you've also then got is there has to be, in football, there has to be a winner, right? Every game is played to a win or a draw at worst. And at the moment, in a pyramid system, I don't see where there's any winners if the season gets cancelled or the season is null and voided. So for me, it has to be played to a conclusion. And if it's agreed between the clubs that want to conclude the season that it's a game of tiddlywinks in a bar, then that's what it is. But at least it's a conclusion. You can come and get your stuff if you want. This is our physio, Justin. He's just been writing his plans out after the sessions this afternoon. How's the injury list looking?
Good.
On to that, you've underlined how expensive it is to run the club, really. How's it going to be paid for? There's talk of grants, loans, or what? How is it going to be paid for?
Well, at the moment, with no fans and just streaming, we lose £15,000 a month. So we have, that is literally picked up. We have £2,000 a month, which is picked up through our sponsors in Let's Plant and SMR Forestry, and then you have the rest of the ticket, which is obviously 13,000, picked up between myself and Eamon at the moment. So it's not an enjoyable place to be. But if it means Eamon and I have to do more to fulfil the season, then that's what we'll have to do, because we deserve to be where we are, and we've come too far to give up. Yeah. So it'd be unfair on us as a football club, to our players and to our staff, to turn around to them and say, Justin's here now writing up his plans for all of his injury list from after the session. It'd be unfair to turn around to Justin and the rest of the staff here and say, do you know what? Thanks for your efforts for the previous 17 games. We're going to knock it on the head, see you in September. It's just not the right thing to do. So we are, not supporting. We're not supporting stopping the season at all. I think it's imperative that it is concluded. And I'm not saying we have to play every game, because that, if there's no finance, then no one can afford to. But I do think we somehow have to conclude the season, because we are in a pyramid system after all, and there has to be promotion and relegation.
But I think it's been said that the National League are expecting games to go ahead this weekend. We don't have a game because of COVID, and I think you've said that Concord are refusing to play.
Yeah, the rumour is, and I've only heard the rumour, and Ant Smith's a great guy down at Concord, so he'll know what he's doing, So, but I believe Concord have come out today, since we've been sat here, saying that they're not planning on playing or putting a team out this weekend, which I fully support. The league cannot make clubs play football insolvently. That is against the law. So if clubs cannot play or afford to play, then they don't have any other options. And it's going to be, I think they're just the first club to be brave. I think others will follow. Because you cannot force someone to take a loan. You cannot force anyone to be insolvent.
Well, you've mentioned the meeting you had. Well, 3 lots of the 66 clubs have had the meeting. Is anyone actually in charge? Any decision makers there? Are we going to hear anything anytime soon?
No, there's no decision makers in the clubs. There's a statement, I believe, coming out at 7 o'clock tonight from some clubs saying that they want a suspension of the season. You'll notice that I haven't signed that letter, not because I don't support the theory behind it, but want the season to be concluded. I don't support it being null and voided at all. Fact. So I would only put my name to that letter or that statement, which is coming out from some clubs this evening, if the season is concluded. I don't mind it being cut short. I don't mind clubs pulling out. I don't mind clubs needing to withdraw. I don't care how it happens, whether it becomes a game of tiddlywinks or foosball or ping pong. The season has to conclude somehow, some way.
Well, you've got support from Richard Graham. Is it a government thing now to get this thing moving?
Yeah, if you look at the EFL loan, the EFL bailout deal, the EFL were not made to take it as a loan. They've been given it as a grant. So we're all elite sport. We all voted for elite sport pretty much this time last year, right? So why are we being made in a smaller business model with the same sort of operational costs to take out a loan when this football club doesn't have any debt? We've built the ground with private finance between Eamon and myself, so we've got no third party debt, right? So Eamon and I are not keen or planning on bringing any debt into this football club, because the club's got a history of debt with breweries and whoever else in the car sales rooms and whatever else in the past, right? So we're not going down that road. So we will not be looking to bring debt into this football club to pay the wages. And hence why we have to find a way to conclude the season that doesn't involve clubs penalising themselves with debt. I think that's kind of how I see it. Other clubs are saying null and void it and suspend the season now. I don't support that, because if we suspend the season, Dave's still got to get paid. The physio team have still got to get paid. How many physio staff have you got now down there? Is it you've got yourself and the two others down there? So we've got 3 physio team, and then we've got a strength and conditioning team of 2. Yeah. So we've got 5 strength and conditioning physio teams, right? So we've got all these people at this club that have all. I've got a duty of care to Dave's family and Justin's family, and so it's not just about the players, and that's where we cannot. If we suspend the season and pause it, they've all got to pay their mortgages the same as the players. So for us, suspending the season is just not an option, because our costs will not stop. I might be able to place them on furlough, but only at a percentage. But we've still got the operational overhead, and that's what other clubs don't have. And we wouldn't have had it last season, by the way, because we were obviously not at our own place. So,
well, talking about furloughs, I've read that players signed after the 31st of October aren't eligible for it. Are they just going to lose out?
Depends if they're a contracted player or a non-contracted player. So, if potentially it comes down to the club, but potentially if you are a non-contracted player signed on the 1st of November, for example, then you can just be cut, no questions asked, with no furlough. If you are a contracted player signed on the 1st of November, then the club have to honour your wages, but they cannot get government support. So we took the decision in December that we were slightly concerned that this could become a possibility. The possibility started to become a probability. Paul and I spoke around some players that didn't want to be here. Some of the players didn't want to be here, so we weren't prepared to take the financial risk of adding additional wages into the club. So we let some go. And that's, people need to understand that people might think we've been weak or we've given in or whatever else, but some of the players had a clause where they could leave, and that's fair enough, that's life. Some of the players got bought by other clubs, and that's life, that's fair enough. And then some of the players didn't want to be here, so those players have moved on. And hopefully now we've got a squad that want to play for the club, want to play for the badge, and we can keep pushing up the table.
I want to add about some of the players that's left. In a way, we've been quite lucky because we've used their talents to get to where we are on the table, and they've gone, and now we're not burdened by the cost of them. So that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a positive. It's a positive that we don't have an unnecessary overhead. So for us, it's all about managing what we've got and controlling what we've got. And hopefully we've done that, and hopefully we can now, like I say, look forward, go forward, and not have the stress of a wage bill that we potentially... Well, our wage bill now is smaller than what it was in October. So that's a positive.
Okay, then we'll knock that on the head there. We're going to talk about... last time we spoke, we didn't have a manager, and now we do. How long has it been? How's it been with a new manager? What are the differences?
Grote's great. Really like him. He's very different to what I've worked with here before, and he's exceptionally professional in everything he does, and nothing is by chance. So the players come in the morning. They have, what do you call it, Justin, when the players do their yoga or dancing around in the... They had prehab. So they have prehab in the morning. And what does prehab look like? That's bands and stretching and activation, motor and yoga mat, basically, right? Yeah, so that's what the players do in the morning. I've never seen that before. That's the sort of thing that you could sell that for comedy gold. It really is entertaining, watching Kev Dawson dance about in that, but they've got used to that now. And then after that, what happens after that? So you do prehab, and then what do you do?
Breakfast.
Prehab, breakfast, treatments, rubs, and then they eventually get out on the grass. So they're in here for 2 hours before they go out on the grass. 2 hours. So there's 2 hours of stuff, right, that happens before they even kick a ball. And then beside the kitchen, there's a menu board, and there is nothing now allowed at the football club that isn't, I'm going to use the word fresh. Is that fair? Nothing processed. So if it comes in a jar, it's not welcome. So where before we would have pasta with a dolmayo sauce, other sauces are available, on top, mixed in, out you go. Now it will all be a homemade everything, to the point where we even look at ingredients to hit certain macrons and microns and everything else. Salmon has now become a thing of the past. Salmon has now become very much a thing of the present.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so salmon tomorrow. It's very, very, very different. And then after, the players then go out, straight out for a session, which is done by Paul Groves' staff, which is Paul Groves and who was out there today? Paul Williams, basically, yeah. So you've got Paul Groves and Paul Williams. They'll then take the training session. They'll finish the training session. They'll come back up here for Pilates or more, whatever. Then they eat straight away. They eat straight away, don't they? So eat straight away. Today it was spinach pasta, because I had some. Very good, actually. And then they went downstairs for, rehab, I guess, which is Matt Heapy. He gets the guys to do whatever he gets them to do. So the exercise bikes or stretching or core work or weights or whatever they do. And then they normally have a rallying game of darts or ping pong, and they'll leave around about 2 o'clock. So that's a typical day at Gloucester now, and that's very, very new. And then we've got a guy called Pete that will plan the food with Dave. So every week the food is planned on the menu. Any players that have got any specific requirements gets picked up, treated. It's uber different. after everything.
Can I just say that I did hear that one of the players who's left because he didn't fancy any of this.
Liam Daly used to love a lasagna, didn't he? Liam Daly used to love a lasagna. So, yeah, lasagna and ketchup, that was Liam's favourite. But no, Liam was a great guy. We sorely miss Liam. And yeah, but I'm not sure the gaffer would allow lasagna anymore because of the cheese content. But yeah, no, Liam did love his lasagna.
Well, we've talked about players leaving. We're going to finish now, but on some good news with the retention of Matt McClure and Kevin Dawson.
Yeah.
How much good news is that?
Yeah, no, it's delighting. They both wanted to be here, both wanted to stay. We're talking to others now about getting them locked in as well, or signed up for next season, or the season after as a most. We won't do anything more than 2 years at Gloucester because we're not, we are a little club, right? So we're not going to go into any longer term deals than that. But yeah, to get those two on board is great. Obviously the captaincy now has gone to Kev, and he's a different guy. He's bouncing around the place and jumping up and down, and first out on the training field and last to leave. And yeah, and then Matt and I had a meeting today, Matt McClure, because Bernard, Kev Dawson, Matt McClure and Fabian are going to look at doing, we're going to introduce under 23s next season, and Kev and Bernard are going through their UEFA B courses. So the plan will be for Kev to help, will be the assistant manager potentially in our under 18s with Robbo, who's the manager in there now. But we've also then got the under 23s, so maybe Robbo will go to the under 23s, leaving Dawes and Fabs to do the 18s. But my point is, between those four, so we'll then look to do the under 23s, the BTEC and the 18s. So there's much more of a first team involvement throughout the club now. Jake Cole does the goalkeepers as well. So yeah, it's great. It's great to have, and this is all driven by changes of recently. And it's great to have guys that want to do the extra thing for the club, and support into the academy with Jim Hart. So it does give us something very different to what other clubs can do. It makes us a bit more united as a group, and hopefully will encourage future supporters coming to the club.
Well, that's a positive note to end it on. Hopefully we can get this funding sorted and carry on going, because I will say from a personal point of view, there's not a lot going on in life, and to have your football on Saturday is so important. So thank you for keeping us up to date, Alex.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much.